Alright, let me check. Beard's coming back really nicely. I'm digging that. Alright, let's get into this review of Red Bull. What's going on, everybody? S.L.B coming at you with another video review, and this time we're taking a look at Generation Toy GT-11 Red Bull. Now, before we get into this review, I just want to take a brief moment here and just explain some of the history off of this line of figures. So why did Generation Toy do Sideswipe with a Bull alt mode instead of his iconic Lamborghini car mode? Well, it kind of falls under the category of doujanishi, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's essentially a self-published magazine or art catering to a specific person or group of people. See, normally it's drawn in an anime style, and in some instances, it's a little erotic. Let me reassure you, this is not the case with what I'm going to tell you. Now, that being said, there's an artist out there who drew the Transformers characters and didn't give them their classic, iconic G1 vehicle alternate modes. He decided to think outside the box and give them more of a animal alternate mode. So you could have Optimus Prime as an ape, Sideswipe as a bull, Soundwave as an owl, or even Jazz as a horse. And if you can't tell by the pictures, it's an interesting take on the classic G1 characters. No, this is not Beast Wars. Do not say this is Beast Wars, because the Beast Wars fanatics will yell at you. I'm speaking from experience. Now, at the point of this review, there are 3 different versions of this art style in physical form. One being Generation Toy Gorilla, and if I could shamelessly plug here, go back and watch my review on Generation Toy Gorilla. DX9's Ancestrad, and now you have Generation Toys Red Bull. Now there is a 4th one coming out very shortly. Transform Element is doing Hornet's Tiger, which is the T-Beast version of Bumblebee. Spoiler alert, I'm getting it. And also, please take note that this figure is not a complete depiction of the art. It did have to take some liberties. And now, on to the review. So as always, let's take a quick look at the packaging. Gone are the beautiful hand-drawn art pieces like on Generation Toy Sergeant, their version of Protectobot Streetwise, because now you have on the front of the box the obligatory product shot of Red Bull in his robot mode. Well, now that I've been thinking about it, they've been doing this for a while. See, this makes me kind of sad because I like the artwork. And since we're not getting bio cards with these figures, we're not really getting a good art representation of the figures. We're just getting your obligatory product shots. I do collect boxes. Unfortunately, I'm running out of room, as you can tell. Now, if you turn the box towards the bottom, it is just a continuation of the product shot. Top of the box just has the Generation Toy logo, while both sides of the package pretty much has nothing. And lastly, the back has the legal mumbo-jumbo, and yes, I know my box is damaged. There's really nothing I can do about it. Moving on to what's included in the packaging, you do get the instructions, which are actually pretty good in this case, although they are a bit small and hard to read. On the opposite side of the instructions is a poster much like Generation Toys Gorilla. My one gripe about this is the fact that it's folded and it's creased, and it looks kind of tacky if you hang it up. Not like these prints that I got from hiddentoys.net. Also included is what's shockingly being referred to as alternate hands, but in actuality it's Sideswipe's iconic piston arms depicted in 2 different forms as they appeared in the G1 cartoon. The first set of piston arms is from the Transformers episode A Plague of Insecticons, and they are made out of a black plastic and they are very light in weight, so you won't have to worry about the arms dripping. They just have one tab that fits in the arm securely so they won't pop out with just the slightest touch. The second set is based off the G1 episode Dinobite Island. Done in a silver plastic, they have a little detail on them. Like the other piston arms, they just have the one tab and it plugs into the hand securely with no worry of popping off. Next accessory you get is a blaster, which is having a hard time standing up on its own if you can't tell. But this resembles Sideswipe's weapon of choice, his flare gun. With some minor mods to it, it has a silver finish on the body, which gives it a nice shine, and the barrel is done in white plastic. This blaster is a little bit shorter than the official Masterpiece version, however, there is a little nod to the MP version in the body of the blaster being the vents on the side. Although the Generation Toy version has a round body where the MP version version is square, I still think it's a nice salute to its predecessor. And lastly, the horn on the butt of the weapon is pretty funny and a nice touch. Much like the MP version, the blaster can be stored in beast mode by inserting it into the iconic missile launcher. Segue 2. Now, what Sideswipe figure would not be complete without a missile launcher? Well, there's the Unicon Trilogy, Bayverse, RID 2015, hashtag not my Sideswipe. And the missile launcher has the same silver finish as the blaster, as well as some gold paint just to kind of break up the silver. And much like the other weapon, the barrel is done in a white plastic as well as the sight. Why would a shoulder-mounted missile have the sight on top and not the side? I don't know. That was just a random thought. The missile launcher is on a ratchet joint, which is so satisfying to listen to. It does also have a light-up feature that requires you to dismantle the missile launcher. You're going to need 2 LR521 batteries. And I chose not to do it just because reasons. Just didn't feel like it. Forgot to buy batteries. Lazy. So let's move on to the animal mode. And adorning the beast is red, black, and white plastic with some silver, gunmetal gray, and a tiny bit of gold throughout to really make this figure stand out. Oh, and also yellow for the eyes. Proportionally, he's okay. The bullhead looks very intimidating, although the placement seems off to me. I kind of wish his head was placed up more, but I guess in order to have that missile launcher, it kind of makes sense. Sprucing up the bullhead is the horns, which have a nice silver paint finish to them, which just adds to the aggressiveness of the beast mode. Now, they do look very different from the artwork. The art depicts the horns as angular, whereas Generation Toy Red Bull has more curves and look more lifelike. He has these big, beefy front arms, which transition into smaller forearms, which is pretty accurate to an actual bull. The rear thighs have some girth to them, but not as much as the front, but enough to differentiate themselves from one another. In front of the arms and thighs are these vents that give Red Bull a mechanical feel, but also are a nice Easter egg to the vents found on a Lamborghini Countach, also known as G1 Sideswipe's alt mode. His body, however, is a bit on the skinny side. Articulation is very satisfying because everything moves as it should. The head can't look up unless you unpeg the backpack, and you can't unplug the backpack unless you unplug the silver bits on the back. Oh, and the horns can rotate as well. The mouth can open up a little bit, and if you look into the bull's mouth, you can see that inside, on the bottom part of the mouth, has these teeth painted in silver. But the mouth really can't open that much, so why bother? The front legs can do a full 360, and if you really want to, you can utilize an outward joint from robot mode in animal mode to give the animal mode a lower stance in the front. The forearms can get a full bend, and the feet are on a ball joint. The rear legs can also rotate a full 360, and there's also 3 hinge joints. And again, just like the front foot, the rear foot has a ball joint. And this itty-bitty little tail has 6 hinge joints, which gives it so much character. Comparing Generation Toy Red Bull with Generation Toy's Gorilla, in the real world, it's not very proportionate scale-wise. Notwithstanding, putting them together, they look good. And moving on to transformation, there are so many nods to the official MP just in the legs alone. MP Sideswipe was my first MP figure, and it happens to be one of my favorites. So to get those transformations in a new figure with some twists and turns really got me excited for Generation Toys Red Bull. My biggest complaint, however, is I wish there was more clearance for placing the bullhead in the chest cavity. Once you get that transformation done, though, you are left with a beautiful robot mode. It has all the aesthetics as MP Sideswipe, but yet still looks uniquely different. The head sculpt is gorgeous, albeit a little small proportionally, in my opinion. Silver paint in the face really makes the metallic blue eyes pop. The head sculpt is Sideswipe, and with the added silver horns instead of black, it makes him uniquely different from G1. Get ready for me to say that a lot. I mean, overall, the sculpt is beautiful. He has an updated G1 look. Generation Toys Red Bull has some great paint apps on him. I am not seeing any paint mishaps on his chest, abs, or legs. The silver in his chest breaks up the red plastic as well as the silver in his abs. The gold paint is a nice touch too. The arms are white plastic with some added red plastic along with silver and gray paint apps attached to the forearm, which look great. Thighs are made of white plastic with some silver paint apps on them. Again, I'm not seeing any paint splotches. And Red Bull has standard articulation, nothing really exciting, no wow factor, and I guess that's okay. His wrists are on ball joints, so yay? Now let's talk comparisons. First up, I want to compare him to Generation Toys Gorilla. Again, Now in animal mode, the scale was off. However, when you get Red Bull in robot mode, the scale is spot on. He is the right height in robot mode. This is the one reason why I'm digging this line, and I hope that Generation Toy does more of these figures, because not only did they adapt the artwork effectively, they also managed to adhere to a G1 scale. And I'm not gonna lie, he looks really good next to Gorilla. I have talked about it before, but I still want to spend some more time comparing it to MP Sideswipe. He has all the elements of MP Sideswipe, and then some. Let's see, broad square red chest? Check. White angular forearms? Check. Silver paint around the knees? Check. The color palette is damn near a complete match, with the reds, whites, and silver being near close to looking almost identical. The one real difference being that MP Sideswipe has a gloss finish to him because he has a carve for an alt mode, whereas Generation Toy's Red Bull has a flat finish. And now with all that being said, let's move on to some final thoughts. So for my final thoughts for Generation Toy Red Bull, this figure is amazing. Build quality. He is far superior than Generation Toy's Gorilla. All the joints are nice and tight, and I don't feel like they'll deteriorate over time like Generation Toy's Gorilla did. And again, the paint on this guy is simply amazing. I'm not seeing any paint splotches anywhere throughout this figure. The personal nitpicks that I have, your mileage may vary, but these are the things that I kind of wish they did a little different. I actually wish there was 2 tabs on this thing to give a more secure fit. I know right now that the tabs on the piston arms are secure, and I really applaud them for doing that. I just wish there was another one. Don't get me wrong, I like the gold on the missile launcher. There could have been some other places they could have put the gold paint. You've got one right here, but there's also areas up here and down here that I think could have used some more gold paint. And since we're talking about the missile launcher, instead of having it on this hinge and system and twisting system here, I would have much rather it attach. That way you can kind of give the animal mode kind of a clean look, and also it just doesn't sit right sometimes. No matter how you position it in robot mode, it always looks a little off. It looks too close to his head. Maybe I'm just so used to MP Sideswipes when it's like all the way over here. Sorry for that, I bumped the camera with my foot. Just move back over here. Hopefully that's right. Now the only real gripe I have about the tail, again, my nitpick, your opinion may vary, is that it compresses into this leg cavity right here. That just doesn't sit well for me for some reason. I don't know what it is about that. If at any time they could have made it like detachable and made it like a small melee weapon or something like that, I would have been fine with that. Like giving it an adornment to the blaster or something like that. But just having it tucked away in the chest cavity, I don't know, that just doesn't sit right with me for some reason. I already talked about the silver paint on the teeth, right? I talked about more clearance for the bullhead. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All in all, this is a great figure. And I really hope that Generation Toys does more of this line, of the T-Beast, if you were, because I'm in this. It's unique, it's different, and let's be honest, I'm gonna get a lot of flack for saying this. It's not that I'm bored with G1 stuff, it's just the well's kind of running out. And I know there's a lot more characters that third-party companies can do in the G1 line, but are they really gonna do them? I'm gonna get so much shit for saying that, but whatever. So this is S.L.B, and this has been my review of Generation Toy GT-11 Red Bull. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button. Can I get 20 likes? Feel free to share my video, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to get notified when I post new videos. Hit me up on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, links to everything in the description down below. It's down there, trust me, I know. It's down there. Once again, this is S.L.B, this has been my review of Generation Toy GT-11 Red Bull, and this is S.L.B saying, have you seen the video of the guy drinking 20 Red Bulls? Like, you can literally see his chest just like